I used to tell her the moon was a friend. Tonight it stares through the glass like a butcher at the window. Welcome to whispering narratives, where truth is the color of fear, and stories don't end when the sun comes up. I'm Gideon Vale, and, if you're hearing my voice, lock your doors. What I'm about to tell you isn't legend. It's what happened to my daughter and me when the moon called her by name. This is a tape, a confession, a prayer with teeth. And before this night is over, you'll hear the sound love makes when it breaks. The story begins now. The cellar smells like iron and old apples. I lined the stone walls with rock salt and wired a rosary through the links of the chain, like that might make it stronger. The man at the feed store laughed when I asked for grade 8 steel. He hasn't heard a child's bones change shape. Alice sits on the cot with her knees drawn up, hair damp at the temples. She's trying to smile the way she used to in 2nd grade when she lost her front teeth. "It won't be as bad this time," she whispers. She lies to comfort me. She's 16, and already she knows how fathers break. I set the recorder on the workbench. I speak like a man giving his own eulogy. Night 3, clouds moving east, moon clear by 9. I don't say the real sentence. If I fail, close your eyes when you find me. Don't let the deputies see what I kept alive. Our house is a stitched-together thing at the edge of the pines. Years ago, something dragged her off the trail and marked her with a wound like a vine wrapping the ribs. The ER called it a dog attack. I scrubbed the blood out of her favorite, yellow dress with lemon and salt until only a shadow remained, lace turning the color of old snow. The dress hangs at the top of the stairs now, a flag of surrender no one can read. At 8:47, a moth taps the bulb over our heads like a blind prophet. At 8:49, Ellis winces and presses a palm to her sternum. At 8:51, a short, sharp sound, the first vertebra to complain. "You don't have to watch," she says. "I didn't watch the day you were born," I tell her, trying to laugh. "Your mother did all the work. I owe someone." Her mother left when the sleeplessness became a kind of religion. Some people cannot live under a sky that points at them. The chain clinks, a small argument against the iron eye I sunk into the joist. The leather cuffs are doubled and lined with lamb's wool. I oil the buckles on days she's at school. Not because it matters, but because devotion requires chores. The moon rises, and in the reflection of a mason jar, I see her eyes change shade the way a storm shifts a lake, from green to all the colors a pupil can never be. When she looks up, something ancient peeks through the girl I raised, not a monster. Something older than the word father. I kneel. I press my forehead to her hand. "When you hear me say goldfinch, you stop. That's our word. That's the piece of you that's still you." She nods. The nod becomes a tremor. The tremor becomes an argument under her skin. The night air expands like a held breath. Outside, a coyote calls. What answers it is not a coyote. The first break is never dramatic. It's a soft click deep in the wrist, like a child opening a puzzle box. She swallows a scream and smiles with all her teeth. "On 3, I say, though there is no number big enough to count you from human to myth." 1. Her shoulder lifts and rolls. The collarbone becomes a question mark. 2. She sucks air through her teeth. The tendons in her neck hum a note I can feel in my molars. 3. The world narrows to a hinge and a howl. Something inside her stands up. The skin doesn't tear. It renegotiates. 1,000 small decisions at once, bone lengthening, cartilage arguing with memory, nails remembering claws like a dream you almost had. If you've never watched a miracle choose violence, you cannot understand the holiness of it. I say goldfinch too early, and the word falls like a coin into a river. She looks up. Not Ellis. The inheritance. The thing that woke up when a stranger in the trees pressed his mouth to her ribcage and told her the forest kept accounts. People call it a curse because it makes them feel less responsible. Curses are tidy, bloodlines are not. Her hands still, rake the concrete and leave 4 shallow lines like fingerings for a hymn. She sniffs once, sharp. Her ears tilt toward the stairwell. She can hear the fridge hum. She can hear the water in the pipes learning the shape of the house. "Do you remember the story about the goldfinch?" I ask, as if story is a leash. "How it pulled thorns from a crown and stained its breast red for the trouble." Her voice rides double now, Ellis and echo. "I am the thorn," she says. Or maybe she doesn't. Maybe I supply the poetry because prose makes it real. The next break is the knee. She almost laughs at how simple it is. A realignment, a new geometry. Her feet give up their human lie and become instruments of argument. When she stands, the chain takes the weight and sings a dull note through the joist. I smell copper, cedar, the secret musk of wolf. My hands are buzzing. I am the drum they beat to start the hunt. "Stay with me," I say. "Where would I go?" she says, and the words end in a growl like gravel being poured. She looks past me then, sharp, sudden. The moth has found the bulb again, tapping, tapping, tapping. Alice turns her head like a prayer wheel and watches the tiny body beat itself. To death in the heat, something inside her likes that. I slap the light off. Dark pours in like water. The cellar changes shape in the dark. I know every nailhead in this room. I no longer know where to put my feet. "Dad," she says, "and it is my name and my problem." "Goldfinch," I say. "Hungry," she says. Outside, a branch scratches the siding, and I have been waiting for this scratch since the day the wound on her ribs closed in the shape of a crescent leaf. I grip the shotgun. I hate it for how it pretends to be an answer. On the tape, my breath sounds like a man trying to drink the air. The first scrape is politeness, the second is suggestion, the third is law. Something is at the storm door upstairs. I hear the latch test itself. I hear a slow inhale across the screen. Wolves don't knock. Men don't either, not here. This is something in between. A thing that learned how to touch a house like a house was prey. Ellis smells it before I do. Her head goes up. The chain tightens. The leather creaks in the dark. Her eyes become the only light. You could read by them. If reading were possible now, I climb the steps, shut the cellar door, and slide the oak bar into the iron brackets I forged last winter when the snow made the road vanish and my fear had new time to grow. The hallway is narrow with framed school pictures and a portrait of my father staring down like a judge who knew this was coming. The old man taught me how to skin a deer. He never taught me how to save a child. I flick the safety off. The house listens. The storm door breathes inward, then outward. Something enjoys the smell of our paint. "Not tonight," I say to no one. The porch boards answer with a soft, careful step. Another, weight distributed like a thief who learned to dance. The doorknob twitches. A slow, smiling twist, then silence. No footsteps retreat. No shadow flees across the curtains. Just a silence that says, "I learned you." Behind me, below the floor, chain rattles, a muffled sound. Ellis fighting herself or practicing. My stomach drops and lands somewhere near the water heater. I step closer to the door and feel the cold where the shape stands. I picture a man, unshaven, eyes like a winter creek. I picture a wolf, ribs traveling like a bellows. I picture the one who made my daughter come to see his work. "Go back to the forest," I say, the way I used to say, "It's a school night." The doorknob turns halfway and stops. The storm door whispers against its frame. Then a finger, no, a nail, drags down the glass from eye level to knee in a single, unhurried line. Glass screams gently. The sound says, "I could, I won't, not yet." In the cellar, Ellis answers with a sound that makes the hair rise along my arms one by one like soldiers called to attention. The house takes sides. I am no longer certain which side I am on. The phone is dead. It died this afternoon when the clouds ringed the horizon like spectators. I have a radio. It hisses the weather. At me. Clear. Fat moon. Don't be alone if you can help it. I can't. I turn from the door. I put my back to it like a fool in a story who thinks backs mean anything. I walk to the kitchen, where the emergency kit sits like a sermon. Flares, salt cartridges, a flask of holy water, a tangle of silver wire I bought from a woman at a roadside stand whose face was so tired it looked like it had been folded. Nothing is free, she said. I paid anyway. From below, a thud, not a fight thud. A landed thud. I run. At the cellar door, my ear finds wood. Through wood, I hear the soft pop-pop-pop of finger joints finishing their confession. I hear a low, steady pant that belongs in a field beneath stars, not here. My hand finds the bar, and I keep it there, so my hand has a job other than trembling. Goldfinch, I say through the pine. The panting pauses. A single breath in. The breath holds. Da. The word breaks in her mouth like a bottle. The rest is gravel and appetite. From the other side of the exterior wall, a mirror sound. The guest inhaling too. For a moment, my child and her maker breathe like metronomes on either side of me. I am the hinge. I am also the thing that will snap. I descend. I switch the red bulb on. Red hides blood. It does nothing for bone. Ellis is not chained to the cot anymore. The cot is across the room, folded like an apology. The chain angles to the center post where I anchored the eye bolt into the concrete with a chemical cure that could outlast us. Her arms are longer. The cuffs bite lower now, around what the wrist became. Her hair hangs in a wet curtain from temples that have learned new mathematics. Her mouth has begun a new career. When she turns, I see her chest. The old scar at her ribs is a doorway now, trembling around the edges like someone knocking from the inside. Goldfinch, I say, and the wolf in my child tilts its head, amused. Does it hurt? I ask, because cruelty survives every apocalypse. Her breath hitches. She closes her eyes, the last human reflex left. Yes, she says, and for a second it is all her voice. But it's not the breaking that hurts. It's the part of me that doesn't want to let go. She doubles over. The sound she makes is not a scream, it is a translation. Each vertebra tells the next what to become. Her ankles shriek, then celebrate. Her knees reverse like a prayer said backward. The spine walks out of childhood and into a shape that knows the weight of winter. I keep my distance, but my heart presses itself to her like a fool against a fence. My fingers twitch with the urge to touch her hair, to hold her forehead as if fever were the enemy. The chain snaps tight, then slack, then tight again, each jerk a stanza in a poem my body refuses to forget. Listen to me, I say. Pain is not a god even when it makes the rules. You are Ellis Vale. You like burnt toast. You hide essay feedback in your backpack because you think I'll frame it. You love the ending of the old movie where the monster sits down and the girl puts her hand over his. You are not the thing that bit you. She lifts her face. In the red light, her eyes catch and give it back in 100 animal ways. I am not what bit me, she agrees. And then the muzzle comes, moving out from beneath her face like a shoreline, learning to be a cliff. She pants through it. There is drool. There is dignity. They coexist like storm and church bell. When the canines arrive, they arrive like verdicts. I want to look away. I choose to watch. If I look away now, one part of her will die that I cannot resurrect. Time bleeds. When it is done, or done enough for the night to rename her, she rises slowly until all the math lines up. The chain lifts off the ground and straightens. The key post groans. My name lives in my mouth like something I could choke on if I'm not careful. Ellis, I say anyway. Her ears flick, her head tilts. A small whine questions the air between us. Goldfinch, a breath, a blink. In that blink is a girl in a yellow dress with a lemon stain near the hem. In that blink is the way she used to stand on my boots to learn the box step. In that blink is the science fair volcano, the acne pimple she cried over, the way she draws wolves with crowns in the margins of her homework, as if something in her always knew. "I'm here," she says without speaking. I feel it more than hear it. Then the air changes and Hunger puts her hand on her shoulder. From upstairs, glass, not breaking, breathing. Our visitor hasn't left. He is patient. He is the kind of patient that breeds. Ellis laughs in the small, chuffing way, the newly made laugh. Her nostrils flare. She takes the visitor into herself through smell and makes decisions a human can't. Lust for blood isn't quite right. It's lust for balance. The forest keeps accounts. Tonight, math is owed. She hits the end of the chain lightly, testing. The post flexes. The old foundation remembers an earthquake from before this house was a house and flinches. She hits it, harder. The bolt complains. I stand, raise a hand, and the wolf stares at my palm as if it's a moon of its own. "Goldfinch," I say, softer. "Look at me." She does. She looks at me with the wolf's face and my child's attention. A trick of the light, a miracle, a finger in a dam. "Not him," I say, meaning the thing upstairs. "Not tonight. The town is awake. They will hear. They will bring rifles and wrong ideas. If anyone dies in this zip code, they will come to count our windows." The laugh again. A head jerk. "You believe in towns?" The laugh says, "I believe in morning." I answer and reach to the wall for the switch that will make red become dark again. I count to 3 like it's a spell. On 3 I kill the light. The chain sings. In the dark, there are only 3 truths. Breath, chain, wood. Upstairs, the front door surrenders a hinge with a sound like a violin string snapping. Wood splinters in paragraphs. The house takes a note deeper than the human ear. My ears find it anyway. Our visitor is inside. I move like a man in a museum where everything is a bomb. My left hand finds the stair rail. My right holds the shotgun in the dark V, taught by men bound to traditions that break their sons in predictable ways. The safety is off. The barrel kisses the air with the promise of light. I take the first stair, the second, the third. From behind me, below me, the chain shrieks an invitation. At the top of the stairs, moonlight combs the hallway. The front door hangs open like a mouth after surgery. The storm door is a question mark on the porch. The curtains shift. Though the air is still, something large moves with stagecraft silence. I do not call out. Names are power. I will keep mine. The visitor doesn't need his. He pads into the living room, and his shadow teaches the sofa new geometry. Not wolf, not only, taller. Wrong in a way that suggests choice. Claws tap once on the hardwood like a teacher announcing class. The head turns, and the part of my brain charged with animal catalogues flips its index and sits down. If this thing ever had a name, the forest ate it and left only the meaning. The muzzle lifts. He scents the house. Apples, gun oil, lemon in old lace, fear like hot metal in a coil. Then he scents the cellar door. He prefers that. He moves toward it. I wouldn't, I say, softly, like telling a child not to touch the stove. He stops, turns. We regard each other across a rug my wife insisted we buy when the house still pretended to be a home. His eyes are wrong, not red, not glowing. Worse. Curious. He steps my way. I step the wrong way back. My heel finds a loose plank and the old board shouts my sin to the ceiling. He smiles with his entire body, and in that smile I see my daughter's laugh from when she was 5, all gums and sunshine. Horror is worse when it can imitate joy. I fire. The blast erases the room for a second. When it returns, the visitor stands, head cocked, as if evaluating a student who might yet pass. Silver buckshot peppered his shoulder. It hisses where it touches. He breathes through it and decides that pain is an interesting note, not a law. He is amused. He turns his head toward the cellar door again, like a man glancing at a stage where his favorite singer warms her throat. He moves past me, slow, offering me a chance to try again. I don't. I am not the lesson here. I am the audience, trying not to cough during the aria. He presses his palm, his hand, to the cellar door and leans. The oak bar holds like a saint. The hinges do not. The frame reports that carpenters are mortal. The door protests sighs and then opens in 3 dull lurches as screws remember gravity. I hear my daughter inhale. I hear what she became answer. The visitor descends, and I follow, and the house follows both of us, and the moon leans close like a gossip. The red bulb makes everything old. In the red, the visitor looks mythic and tired. In the red, Ellis looks like a painting under varnish. Teeth, tendon. The idea of a girl trapped beside the fact of a wolf. When he steps into the circle of light, her hackles lift like wheat in wind. The chain pulls taut, and the post makes a sound I'll hear in my sleep for the rest of my life. He does not charge. He kneels. I almost laugh. The visitor kneels like a knight at an altar, head bowed, shoulder, weeping silver sizzle. He extends his hand, palm up to her, a courtly gesture that makes rage look ceremonial. She snarls, then chokes on the snarl, then swallows it, because some part of her recognizes a pattern older than grammar, the elder acknowledging the heir. No, I say, surprising myself with how large the word is. It fills the cellar, not her. The visitor turns his head without lifting it, regards me from the angle of supplicants who could choose to be kings. He sniffs, and I understand. He is smelling whether my no is iron or lace. He huffs once, a chuckle that calls my bluff, and then he looks back at Ellis and waits. Ellis steps forward because every story of a lineage requires a step. The chain sings again. She meets the limit and leans through it like a lover through prison glass. Her nose meets his palm. She inhales the story of him, the pines in his fur, the snow he's eaten, the iron filings from some other man's last words. She recognizes what bit her. She recognizes something else. Permission. No, I say again, because all I have left is repetition and hope. Goldfinch, her ears twitch. Her gaze breaks from the visitor and snags on me. There. He blink with the yellow dress again. In that blink I pour everything. The box step, the volcano, the burnt toast, the stupid way I cry at dog commercials, the day I taught her to change a tire in the rain, the taste of the lemon salt on the lace when the stain wouldn't go. Goldfinch, I say softer, the word no longer a command but a location. Come. Back to it. To me. The visitor waits, the patience of river stones. His hand never moves. In his patience is the violence of inheritance. Take this and take the law with it. Ellis trembles. A whine, small and private, slips from her throat, the sound newborns make when they remember womb water. Then she does something no book prepared me for. She sits. She lowers her great head. She leans it gently against my hip. The visitor blinks, slow. The chain between us sings a note I have not heard before. In that note is a bargain. I understand only part of it. Understanding is optional. Obedience is not. I kneel too. Red light crowns us all with sin. I place my hand on Ellis's skull. The fur is hot, alive, every hair a little antenna, speaking a language too urgent for humans. If you come for her, I tell the visitor, you go through me. He stands. He is very tall. My shotgun on the floor is a child's toy at a battlefield. He looks at the chain, at the bolt in the concrete, at the circle of salt I laid with hands that shook slowly, so I can refuse if refusing is what makes the world keep spinning. He toes the salt line open with one long nail. He is offering to break the world on our behalf. Don't, I say. Ellis lifts her head. Her ears swivel. The visitor waits. The cellar waits. The tape on the bench records the sound of a man giving away the only thing he has ever been good at, saying no to the dark. Not tonight, I decide, and my voice cracks like ice in whiskey. You want to teach her from the woods. You want to claim her at dawn, when men have a chance of seeing. Come through the front door as a man and ask me like a man. He tilts his head. The expression on the myth's face is absurdly respect. He steps back from the circle, from the salt, from the red. He backs toward the stairs, never turning, his back to the child in chains or the father with the empty gun. At the threshold he pauses, cocks his ear toward the open night, and then he is up and gone with a grace that humiliates gravity. The house inhales, exhales, becomes a house again. Below, the chain slackens. My hand is still on Ellis. Her breath is the sea dragging the shore out and back again, out and back, out and back. The red bulb flickers and dies like a tiny heart. We stay that way a long time, two animals in a room full of things that think they are stronger than time. Gray comes slow to the cellar. It enters through the window like a child left outside, knocking softly. The change back is quieter. It's not pain that announces itself, but the absence of one kind of song and the arrival of another. The body, shrugging back into a smaller suit. The jaw retracts, the hands rediscover fingers like lost names. The feet grieve their claws. The spine puts its books away. Ellis curls on the floor, naked, shivering, human in all the ways the law accepts. The cuffs hang loose around wrists that will bruise deep purple. Her hair is an argument with gravity. Her breath fogs the cold. For a moment she is asleep in the exact posture she used to take in her car seat, a fist beneath her cheek, mouth open enough to show the baby tooth that never came in quite right. I unlock the cuffs. Lamb's wool smells like relief. I wrap her in the old wool blanket with the green stripe, the one my father kept in the truck for breakdowns and roadside miracles. I lift her, and even though she is too big to carry, I carry her, because love is a muscle you can overwork and be glad of it. Upstairs, the front door is a sermon on violence. The frame will need a priest and two men with hammers. The porch is printed with a language of paw and heel I cannot speak. The pines whisper what pines always whisper when they've seen something they won't tell. I make coffee because ritual is glue. I set the tape aside, and later I will label it with something unhelpful like June, moon, storm. Ellis wakes on the couch, rapt, eyes confused, then clear, then so full of sorrow I have to look at the floor. Did I? She begins. You lived, I say. We both did. She nods like confession. I smelled him. I know. I almost... Her throat betrays her. Tears come not as a flood, but as a weather system that takes the whole day to cross. I sit, our shoulders touch. Her head finds the place where it fits. The house is loud with bird mourning. Someone will drive by soon on their way to the job that keeps their life from spilling. Someone will wonder why the Vale house's front door looks like a question you shouldn't answer. Ellis lifts a hand and studies it. The palms know secrets the fingers do not. It hurts less, she says in a small voice. That scares me. It should, I say. I do not sugarcoat the apocalypse. Easy things are the most dangerous when they're wrong. She smiles, and it is not a wolf's smile. You and your fortune cookie doom. It's genetic, I say, like everything. She sobers. You can't protect me from it forever. I can't, I agree. But I can stand in front of it until it remembers it has to earn you. She breathes that in like medicine. Then she looks toward the forest through the busted door. There is a new way of seeing in her gaze. Depth layered on depth. A hierarchy of scent and sound I will never access. He'll come back, she says. I know. He wasn't just a wolf. I know that too. What will we do? Exactly what we did, I say. We will watch. We will wait. We will choose. The parts of us that make us worth saving. And when the door moves again, we decide what kind of story we are telling. She leans into me. Outside, the pines shake off last night's whispers. Daylight makes promises it cannot keep. On the table, the tape sits quiet, a little tomb for a voice that did the only holy thing it could, tell the truth. I stand. I get the toolbox. Love is labor. I fit a new hinge, brace the frame, drive the screws until the wood remembers itself. When the door swings true at last, it clicks against a latch with a sound like a small victory. Ellis watches me work. Goldfinch, she says, and the word is just a word now and somehow also a crown. Yeah, I say, and smile the way my father never learned to. Goldfinch. If you stayed with us to the end, you already know. Monsters aren't always what bites you. Sometimes they're the stories that tell you you're alone. You're not. We're not. Not tonight. He clicks the recorder off, then on again, a breath later. This is Whispering Narratives. If this story gripped your throat, press subscribe so you don't face the dark by yourself next time. Drop a comment with the one moment that branded you, the moth at the bulb, the chain singing, or the bargain in red light. Share this with someone who thinks curses are tidy. We tell the old truths here, the ones that fight back. I'm Gideon Vale. Hold fast. The moon is not a friend, but dawn keeps its appointment.